And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a Sunday night edition of our GT3 channel. We're 2 races away from our final race of the season, and things, as I've already mentioned, are hotting up in terms of the championship lead. So looking down our championship standings table as the guys start to go out onto the qualifying session, we have a really close-knit battle between our top 3 drivers at the moment. Jasko VR is currently heading up the championship table on 269 points. Thorsten Schmidt is in a close second with 245 points, and then it's PT in 3rd place in the championship standing on 202. Next in line is Dovtinho on 172, so he is still in with a shout on reaching the podium of the championship. In fact, he's still in with a shout of winning the championship, but it is going to require a few mistakes from the top 3 guys, and we haven't seen much of that as the season's progressed. So we are, of course, in round 5. It's Watkins Glen for this evening. Permanent road circuit for tonight. Mainstay feature really of any American circuit tour, and it's bound to be a pretty hot race. So if you are joining us on our YouTube stream live and direct, then please let us know what your predictions are for this race tonight. Looks as though we have got overcast. Just having a look through the weather reports now to see whether or not there is a chance of rain, which will definitely make things quite interesting. So we're currently on board with Evan at the moment. We've got just 1 driver remaining inside the pit. Full lobby for tonight's race. Unfortunately, we did miss out on a couple of our mainstay drivers last week, but they are back and ready to prove themselves. As we see Evan there just trying to get to grips with his Honda. So whilst we allow Evan to get his tyres warmed up and feel the full flow of the course, let's jump on board with our current championship leader. So yeah, just looking over the weather forecast for today's race, it is due to be a dry race. We have got overcast conditions inside the sprint race. Looking on down into the feature though, we are due some light rain, so that is definitely going to make things interesting, and a few drivers will definitely look forward to looking to prove themselves on the wet track conditions. So no lap set as of yet. We'll keep an eye out on how the running order starts to unfold. So our first race predictions are in from our old faithful JR Sim Racing. He predicts Jasko in P1, Thorsten in P2, and either Dovtinho or NRP in P3. We've also got Pablo McCain on the stream as well. He's voting for NRP for this evening. Looking to go 1, 2 and 3. Don't think that's going to happen, Pablo, but hopefully, and NRP will be hoping as well that he's going to be able to get into any 3 of those positions, I'm sure of it, after a big struggle last week. So laps are coming in at the moment. We've got Thorsten Schmidt and Dovtinho heading out the field. Not much between them, only 14 tenths separating them at the moment. Then we've got Traven in 3rd place, Lightblade in 2nd, and Jasko VR still managing to find his flow. He's currently sat in 5th. NRP right behind him by about half a second in 6th place. And then we've got Uniclark and Evans 7th, 8th, and 9th is Travis, 10th is Lionsfoot, Demobi in 11th, and Bruce Law in 12th. TomTom and its PT still yet to set a lap along with Uber. Looking at the sectors though, these drivers are looking between 1st and 12th place, looking very tight in Sector 1. Looks as though it's Sectors 2 and 3 that are separating the men from the boys, as it were, in terms of the qualifying laps for this initial sprint race. But we have got Travis just gone in with a purple 3rd sector, and he's taken seconds off the current pole sitter Thorsten Schmidt. So whether or not that's a glitch in my lap board monitor, I'm not too sure. But yeah, Travis currently sat in 12th place, around about 3 seconds quickest in Sector 3. Let's jump on board with him and let's see how his lap unfolds. We've got JPalm23 also joining us on the stream with his predictions. He's predicting Thorsten, Yasko and its PT in that order. And he's definitely looking forward, as is most of us, to this race at the Glen. Hot debate now going into the comments on our YouTube section. Good to see plenty of race fans out there licking the chops in terms of this race. Of course, a lot to play for in terms of the championship. Plenty of guys looking to bump themselves up after a few disappointing races throughout the season, and then our top 5 guys really looking to put their best foot forward in terms of the final race next weekend. Just in on NRP, currently sat in 9th. He's just gone purple in Sector 2 with a 33, pretty much dead. Just to put that into context, that's over 3/10 quicker than the current Sector 3 record holder of Bruce Law. So Nicky looks as though he's finding his flow now, our lead coordinator for this GT3 championship. Starting to find his feet. He has had some issues in his cars. He has actually taken a points penalty to change his car back to his BMW Z4. And it looks as though it's paying off for him inside that Demon Tweaks livery. So he's now currently sat in 5th place. Let's see whether or not he can improve on that with 6 minutes remaining of the session. And if you are watching this and you're not a part of this fantastic racing community, then what you need to do is go get yourself online, go to www.rubbinsracing.co, join our Discord. Once you're inside the door, you'll be greeted by some of our staff members. We'll then set you up with an evaluation race where we'll try and find out your current skill level, see whether or not we need to work on you before we can get you into one of our championships. But in the meantime, you'll be free to join into our hot lap challenges and join into our clean racing community events. So if you're fed up of getting hit around on the open public lobbies, get yourself over to us and join in the fun here. Just while I've been guiding you through that, Duftino is our current provisional pole sitter. He's just put in a 1:42.607. So just 2 1/4 tenths above Thorsten Schmidt at the moment, waiting for the rest of the laps to come in. Most drivers currently out on track. TomTom's still yet to set a lap though on this one. full flow as we see him go just too hitter, Dovtinho. I'd expect that to creep up a little bit as well. Just finding his rhythm on this one, but I'm sure he'll be stringing together a couple more laps before the end of this session. Let's keep an eye out on the rest of them. Bruce Law now enters the pits. He's potentially going in there to do a few tweaks or get some damage repairs. Remember, ladies and gents, full damage is on, so even the smallest knock against some of the close-lying walls or barriers into this one will punish them. It will take away some of that qualifying time. Just keeping an eye out on there. The Asco VR putting in a purple sector 1. He's 15 tenths quicker than our current fastest sector 1. He's also gone purple in sector 2. This looks to be a bit of a beast of a lap from Yasko VR, our current championship second place sitter. Oh, I beg your pardon, our current championship leader. Looking to make things as difficult as possible for Thorsten Smith, but Thorsten Smith more than equal to it as we see him leapfrogging once again. Yasko VR is on purple sector 1 and 2, and he makes that leap once again, puts himself back into first place. Thorsten Smith with everything to do again. Really hotly contested qualifying session from these two drivers. Let's go back on board with Thorsten Smith. He looks to have made a change, which I've actually missed, into a Lamborghini. Of course, he was previously a Porsche driver. So, new car, which means new setups, potentially new tactics from our man from Berlin. Have a look at his sectors now. Dovtinho also leapfrogging over Thorsten Smith, putting him down one further place into third. Dovtinho now sat in second, looking at the splits of Thorsten Smith as well. It doesn't look as though he's going to be able to improve too greatly on this lap, but just under 2 minutes remaining, so he's going to get another shot at this, potentially 2 more laps from the German. Back on board with NRP. Let's have a look here. Yes, just appears to be on an outlap. Let's have a little bit of a look at Dovtinho. A little bit of damage to that Lambo. Don't know whether or not that was picked up. Looking at his tyres, it looks as though they're still cold, so it looks as though he's had a bit of contact somewhere, maybe just a little rub with one of the walls. Yasko VR ever increasing on his lead, so 5 tenths is the difference between first and second at the moment. Third not far behind. You can see here the running between the top 6, less than 2 seconds separates them. That's going to make it a pretty close running order, especially as we enter that first pretty tricky first corner. So I'm expecting quite a lot of action in the first sector after we start this first race. 15 seconds of the session remaining, so if these guys are going to make improvements, they're going to need to do it quick. Let me go back to my timing boards and let's have a look here. Dovtinho still remains in second place. He has got 1 more lap to go though, because he did manage to cross the line. Let's have a look at everybody else that's currently out on a lap. Doesn't look as though Bruce Law is going to be able to improve on this one. Looking a bit further down the grid, we've got Uniclark, Traven, NRP, Ubar and Lionsfoot currently out on laps. Lionsfoot's actually made a big improvement in sector 1 on this current lap, so he may well improve and jump up the order a little bit. Yep, Lightblade looks as though he may well have invalidated his first sector. He might just have a slowdown though, so hopefully we'll be able to rein it back in and make some improvements. Just as I say that, he jumps into the pit. No improvement from him. NRP still out on a lap, and it's looking like quite a good one as well. First sector and second sector looking pretty competitive with the top bunch. Duftinho's also gone purple in sector 2 by only a few hundredths of a second, so he's looking to challenge Jasko VR for that pole position. Let's jump. Oh, as we see him there, just getting a little tip with the wall. And that is the end of the session for Duftinho. He settles for second. And that is our full running order, ladies and gents. So Jasko VR manages to pick up that bonus point, and it will be a crucial bonus point as well for getting the pole position. Duftinho is in second place with Thorsten Smith in third. Bruce Law in fourth with its PT and Damobi following up him. Uniclark, Traven, Lightblade and NRP make up the top 10. And then we have Ubar in 11th, Evan in 12th, Lionsfoot in 13th, and Travis and TomTom 14th and 15th respectively. TomTom there unable to set a lap. Let's hope he can string together some consistency in terms of the race. So as ever, ladies and gents, couple of minutes here for the guys to set up the cars, get those fuel levels correct and ready for the sprint race, and then we'll be on track waiting for the lights out. Let's go pit side then and monitor these guys. Just keeping an eye out, or an ear out rather, on the radio comms. The good luck message is usually a good indicator that people have readied up and ready to go. Like I say, going to be an interesting sprint to the first corner on this one. Quite a tricky turn as the people with great starts start to get alongside. They're going to have to position their cars on track safely and smartly to get the good drive away. Hopefully no action to speak of. Hopefully all these boys can get away nice and clean. Let's see what unfolds though. Just a matter of seconds away from the start of this race. A few good luck messages coming from the field. So they're the final few seconds up. We're just waiting on the lights now, and here they come. Ready to start this penultimate race in our GT3 Championship. Who will get the drive away as the lights start to ring out. And here we go then at Watkins Glen. Looks to be a good start from both of our two front rows. To the inside line against Bruce Law, manages to defend that quite nicely, but it's Duftinho currently heading this one out. We're currently following Jasko VR as the rest of the field looks to have got through cleanly. Let's jump on with Duftinho and get a good view. The Easter weekend is struggling to keep up with the bandwidth. Apologies if your stream is struggling, but we'll keep on board with all of the action as we see Duftinho potentially going wide, hopping and skipping around this place, so definitely struggling for bandwidth here. Keenly. Looks as though Ubar has managed to drop himself all the way back down to 15th, around about 2 seconds away from that pack. So we'll have to see whether or not he's got some damage a little bit later on, potentially getting caught up in a tussle. That has, of course, put TomTom up into 14th place after not being able to set a lap. But here is our current 6 drivers. We've got Duftinho, Jasko, Thorsten Smith, Bruce Law, It's PT and Amobi in pretty quick succession. all within the sort of 4-second boundary, but Duftinho looking to set the pace early into this race and manage to gain as much of a lead as he can to our current championship leader, Jasko VR. Thorsten Smith, of course, in hot pursuit of them, as we see Jasko VR get really wide on that one. That's probably going to be a slowdown from the race director, and that may well open up Thorsten Smith in his new Lamborghini to try and put some pressure on the championship leader. But Duftinho heading out this one. Remember, it's a 20-minute session for our sprint race, so they're going to try and get as much of a lead as possible. Try and prove themselves, but the following feature race will be a reverse grid, so they are going to have a mountain to climb when it comes to the feature race after we get onto that rolling start, with our drivers finishing at the back of this pack, starting at the front, and the winners of the race starting at the back. So currently less than 3 seconds separating the top three. All three of these drivers looking to make sure they're having a consistent drive so far out. No big movers to speak of since the race start. It did look as though it was just Ubar who managed to get himself put right down the bottom of the pack. Let's just have a quick look at his car. So a little bit of front end damage. Looks as though we may well have had a coming together with someone as we jump back to Duftinho. Jump into the chase cam now with Jasko and have a look at the lines as he tries to hunt him down. Viewers also noticing the lag on tonight's event. I do apologise for that. Unfortunately, we've got an entire country currently off on an Easter weekend, so I'm sure plenty of films being streamed. Local bandwidth under pressure, I'm afraid, but we will stick with the action as much as possible and hopefully get all of this smoothed out as the night progresses. So, currently Duftinho in the lead. We're on board with Jasko VR at the moment, our current championship leader. He's less than a second away. He looks to be losing small amounts of time to the current race leader, Duftinho, at the moment, though. You see him get through this tricky bus stop, as the Americans like to call it. Quite an odd corner, easy to enter, quite difficult on the second section of that one if you do catch any form of grass. But as we look a little bit further down the running order, let's have a look at NRP at the moment, who's in a 3-car battle between himself, Uniclark and Traben at the moment. These two drivers all trying to get the better of each other, so we've got a BMW, a Bentley and an Audi at the moment, and we can just see ahead of them the Porsche of De Moby in the foreground. We're about to catch it, there we go, on the straight. NRP just trying to remain cool, calm and collected at the moment and mop up any of the pieces as these two get embroiled in a battle. You can see though, Uniclark just trying to make his gains on Traven inside that Audi as he jumps up the inside. Is he able to hold on to it though? He's going to have the inside line for the next corner, so it looks as though he will. That big heavy Bentley looks as though he's had to just lift off a little bit more than the Audi. So the Audi prevails of Traven at the moment. Looking at the leader, it looks as though Jasko's managed to make some headway against Duftinho. He's managed to shave off around about a quarter of a second in that battle for the first place. But we've also got XPT and De Moby challenging for each other, or they were doing, as that split time starts to ease off a little bit. It looks as though Traven has made a little bit of a mistake. It's going to release NRP and Uniclark ahead of him. Back onto this one, no, doesn't look as though there's any damage to the car of Traven from that collision with the wall, whereas NRP is showing some rear end damage. Hopefully that is just cosmetic. His car looks pretty well planted for now, so we'll keep an eye on that as the race progresses. But Jasko VR is shaving off even more time in his battle for pole position let's have a look at this as this one unfolds. We will go back to that action between NRP and Uniclark once we have a look at the battle for first place. So Yasko still biding his time, easing off a little bit and trying to wait for Duftinho to make a mistake. It seems he's definitely got the drive out of these final couple of corners as we see a big gains made against Duftinho. Is he going to pounce as we enter turn one? We'll have to wait and see. I don't think he's close enough yet to make that move, but he's definitely having a look at it. But perhaps that's just my stream glitching out. Get on back on board with the action further down the field. So it's PT and Demobi caught up in a bit of a brawl at the moment. Let's have a look at these two drivers. As we can see, Bruce Law's McLaren just ahead in the foreground as he rolls himself up the hill. You see both cars there crashing into that barrier pretty hard. I'm assuming that that one isn't G's side. And the battle for 7th and 8th is also hotting up as we drop a little bit further down between NRP and Uniclark. NRP looking to make the jump on Uniclark, it seems. Let's just have a look at Traven making up for his mistake earlier on. We can see the BMW of NRP battered and bruised on the front end. All sorts of crumpled, but doesn't look to be affecting the performance of the car as of yet. I think I am getting a warning due to insufficient bandwidth, so I am going to have to drop the telemetry, I think, and go on this one just off the on the race telemetry only. So apologies if your viewing is affected. We will try and open up some bandwidth, or at least I'll try and open up some bandwidth from where I'm sat. But we'll keep on with the battle. So it looks as though Duftinho is still holding out against Yasko VR at the moment. We have got Bruce Law into the pits. Obviously must be sustaining damage. There is no mandatory pit inside this one. Apologies, looks as though my PlayStation had decided to cut the feed onto this one, so we're currently running on audio only. Not too sure whether or not it's going to automatically connect. So, looks to be this broadcast is failing me in many ways here. Now, I will try and get that up and back online as quick as possible. Just watch this space though, please, ladies and gents. I'll try and knock the settings down a little bit in terms of 1080. Hopefully the stream will recover a little bit better in 720. Unfortunately, yeah, Andrew Clegg has also picked up on it that we do have a problem. So unfortunately, looks as though our video stream has died a death in this race. Just to keep you posted though, we've still got Duftinho in first place with Yasko VR in second, Thorsten Smith in third, and It's PT has moved his way up over Demobi into fourth position. Uniclark and NRP looks to be Uniclark has won that battle between NRP. NRP currently sat in 7th, and Traven and Travis in 8th and 9th. Bruce Law has managed to come out of the pit. It hasn't cost him too badly. He is sat in 11th. Still showing signs of cosmetic damage, so it must have just been some mechanical damage that he went in there to get repaired. But still the battle remains between Duftinho and Jasko. 0.7 separating these. I do apologise that we are currently running on what appears to be a radio broadcast. I will try and get this up and running. There's 9 minutes remaining of this session, so give us 10 minutes and hopefully we'll have video back up and running on a new stream. Keep an eye out on the channel for that. But at the moment, the battle for this sprint race remains in full effect. Duftinho and Jasko VR still battling it out, less than a second between them, but Duftinho managing to maintain his lead above Jasko VR. Then Thorsten Schmidt has got quite a bit of air front and rear of him, so he's 4.3 seconds away from the leader at the moment, and then it's around about 8 seconds back to 4th place. So these guys in 8 laps managing to separate themselves from 4th and below by quite a margin, really. That just shows the speed and consistency of Duftinho and Jasko VR on this track. It looks as though down at the bottom of the field, Ubar has managed to recover from his start and get himself back above TomTom. TomTom potentially coming into the pit stop, he's such a lead, or he's had one heck of a crash. So he's currently sat in 14th place with Ubar in 13th. Lionsfoot, Bruce in 12th and 11th. Bruce did make a pit stop, so all that being considered, he's actually in quite a good position. He's around about 2 seconds away from 10th place of Lightblade, and he's starting to gain on him quite rapidly. So Bruce Law is starting to find some consistency inside this. But Duftinho and Jasko VR still in that battle for first position. Jasko VR mounting on the pressure. He's within half a second now, and that lead is dropping every few meters that these guys are battling it out. So it's down to 0.3 at the moment, and he's right onto the tail as these Lamborghinis battle it out. Those of you that are still persevering with our radio broadcast after our video has dropped down, we've just got news in from the pit lane with Evan Hayes mentioning that he binned it, came in for repairs and then binned it almost immediately again, so he ended up retiring from the race and he's looking to make up a little bit of time into the feature. Good luck to our Irishman there on that one. But Jasko VR still sniffing around the back of Duftinho. I know you guys can't see it. We will try and hopefully get this resolved and you can watch it a little bit later on a replay. But still just less than half a second from Duftinho in this battle for first position. Thorsten Schmidt still managing to maintain the same sort of distance. So he's just over 4 seconds away from this battle for first and second. It's PT making small gains on Thorsten Schmidt. That'll be interesting inside the feature. He's managing to find some consistency and shave away from those lap times. Now do remember, ladies and gents, that the feature race in tonight's meeting will be a reverse grid, as it always is in the GT3s. So no second qualifying session for these cars. But no real big movers apart from, I think it may well be Travis in 13th place. So Ubar's now up into 12th. Potentially a pit stop or a crash from him. I'm assuming it's Travis because Traven was running up. Let's have a look at which car it is. Yep, it is indeed. Travis currently sat in 13th as Looks as though Duftinho and Jasko are now side by side. Let's bring up the track map so I can try and see whereabouts they are after I've lost my telemetry. So they are just entering the second sector. And Jasko is getting the better of Duftinho now. He's decided that this is his time to pounce with 3 minutes remaining of the session. Duftinho scrambling to try and make that time back up, but I don't think he can meet the consistency of Jasko VR in this one. Jasko VR now pulling away, around about half a second lead on this. Apologies if you are joining us pretty late to this session. It looks as though we are having some bandwidth issues on the stream tonight. We will be back again into the feature with a reduced resolution setting to try and help assist keep this stream up and running. We have been struggling since the start of the race, but for those of you late joining, Jasko VR, our current championship leader, is sat in first place. He also picked up the the bonus for the pole position. Duftinho is in second, and then our second place championship leader, Thorsten Schmidt, is currently in third place, so losing out, and it looks to be 1-0 up to Jasko VR in terms of the GT3 championship sprint to the end. So we are in the 5th race out of 6 races. Any lead that you can gain in tonight's races will benefit him greatly. Duftinho losing a little bit more time as well to Jasko. It looks as though Jasko's just stepped it up and opened up another gear from somewhere. Now pulling out his lead to around about 0.7. Worth noting though that both of these guys in first and second place are making gains away from Thorsten Schmidt. So although Jasko VR's found another gear, Duftinho is also matching him with speed, and they're both pulling away from third and fourth place even more. Once they're in the final minute of this session, there's going to be a couple more laps. Currently on lap 12, so it looks as though the guys are going to be finishing at the end of this one, I beg your pardon. Looking at the lap times that they're putting in, the session's going to end and they're going to finish up at the end of lap 12. So Duftinho needs to put the hammer down now if he's going to make his move onto Jasko VR. He's got it down to around about half a second, and he is closing him. I know you can't see this, but we will try and get that sorted out a little bit later on. A little bit further down the pack, I'll run down the running order as you guys can't see it. So we've got Jasko VR in first place, Duftinho second, around about half a second behind him. Thorsten Schmidt's in third, he's making slight gains on the two. And it's PT, Demobi, Uniclark, NRP, Traven, Lightblade, Bruce Law, Lionsfoot, Ubar, Travis, and then TomTom at the back of the field. We did have a retirement from Evan, who managed to have a couple of crashes. Looks as though our stream may well be back online. Let us know whether or not you can see us inside the comments for any of those of you that have remained with us. We are entering the final sector now, with Duftinho looking to make his move onto Jasko. He's managed to close that lead down to less than 4/10. Thanks Jeff on the stream for confirming the video is back up and running. Duftinho now unable to make his gains onto this. So he's around about so he's managed to close the gap, but it wasn't enough in the end. Thorsten Schmidt ends up finishing the race in third place. Demobi's come across the line in fifth. Uniclark just about to cross the line. Sixth place finish for him, with NRP close behind in that battered BMW. Then we've got Traben finishing up in 8th place in what looks to be a pristine Audi. Lightblade was just picked to the line by Bruce Law, so Bruce Law manages to claw back 9th position after an early pit stop. So good race from him, really good showing from him. Lightblade finishes in 10th. Lion's Foot manages to cross the line ahead of Ubar, and then Travis finishes quite a few seconds ahead of TomTom, who's yet to he's just exiting the 2nd sector, so a fair bit to go from TomTom. That is our running order for that. I do apologise for any glitches inside the stream. What I will do is I'll stop this broadcast and we'll start it up again on a lower resolution, try and get this a little bit more stable. So keep an eye out on the Rubbins Racing YouTube channel, and a new stream will be back up shortly. So just before I go, I'll confirm the running order from you. After all penalties applied, Jasko VR tops out that one with Dutino in 2nd, Thorsten Smith in 3rd, It's PT in 4th, Demobi in 5th, Uniclark in 6th, with NRP and Travin in 7th and 8th. Then it's Bruce Law in 9th, Lightblade in 10th, and it looks as though it was a 2-second penalty that switched those two around. Lion's Foot in 11th place with Ubar in 12th. Travis manages to finish up in 13th place with TomTom in 14th, and Evan retired from that first sprint race. We will be back with a feature. We'll just be... I'm just getting news up. It was a false start from Bruce Law. That's why the pit stop happened. So that explains a lot. So pretty good going there, considering he had a full pit lane penalty applied. So as I say, we'll close this stream down and we'll be back up with a lower quality broadcast stream, just to try and stabilise that up as we enter the feature race. So bear with us, chaps, and we'll be back with you shortly. So I'm just entering the 2nd sector now. Looks as though all the guys are into their formation, trying to keep their tyres and brakes warm. Of course, have Evan on the back, who reported from us just before the end of that sprint race that he was had to come in after sustaining a little bit of front suspension damage, got himself into the pit, got himself repaired, and then almost immediately sustained a bit more front suspension damage and ended up retiring himself out of that race. He's also in a new car, put himself in an NSX for this one, and trying to find his feet, get himself set up with a car that he's comfortable with for next season. You see there, TomTom keeping his tyres warm, but picking up a little bit of grass onto those left-hand side tyres. He's going to have to be careful of that, especially as we're approaching the final corner now, so we see them all really slow down. Potentially a little bit of a nudge there as well, as we see them entering up. They should really be odds on the right, but it looks as though it's settled in a different way, with Travis now falling back into the correct position and forcing TomTom to get himself into the right position there for the race start. And we see TomTom gunning it there just over the line, so manages to actually make quite a bit of headway ahead of the rest of the pack. Ubar's managed to maintain his position in 2nd, so Travis has dropped down into 3rd. No big movers or shakers through the rest of it. Looks as though everybody's got clean away as I look at their times. So our current provisional race leader with TomTom. Looks as though Ubar's trying to make an early challenge for him as TomTom showers that Lamborghini he missed. Looks to be quite dry up this section, but Ubar a little bit offline for that one, had to fall back in line for it. You see somebody there in the background. I think it may well have been Lightblade having to use the runoff area. Saw a barrier flying up in the background. So taking safety measures there. Looks as though it hasn't cost him too badly. If it was the white car of Lightblade, as we see Ubar there locking up his tyres and connecting with the barrier. He's dropped down a place. He's returned to his original starting place behind Travis, that is. So we'll have to wait and see how this one unfolds, see whether or not he picked up any damage to the right hand side of that Lamborghini. He looks to be driving on the straight and narrow for now, but TomTom still managing to hold on to his first place into lap 2 of this one. Let's see if Travis can make his move. It looks as though Rubar there losing a few more places. He managed to ride the grass a little bit, so Bruce Law's now worked his way into 3rd place. Bruce Law ended up with a false start drive-through penalty in the sprint race, so definitely I'm sure the rest of them wouldn't mind me saying one of the faster guys managing to benefit from a good starting position in the reverse grid of this feature. So expect him to be challenging these two guys on the front. Looks as though Yasko's made his move on Duftinho. Duftinho coming in for the early pit stop. That's an interesting one for sure. So he's not going to want to pit again. So it looks as though Duftinho, it may well be too wet for dries at this point. So he's going to be trying to finish the race, I can imagine, on those wet tyres. Looks as though TomTom's now about to be challenged though by Travis. Travis thinking better of it on the entry into the bus stop section. Drops back a little bit, and that has now put him in the sights of Bruce Law. Only half a second separating them at the moment. You see the difference in line there. One running a bit of a risky game in terms of the puddle build-up. The other opting for the middle of the road and playing it safe. Travis now having a look around the outside, potentially putting a couple of wheels onto the grass, thinks better of it and falls back in line, but he's definitely sniffing. Less than quarter of a second gap between him and first place. Bruce Law managing to keep up with him. Ubar's managed to maintain his 4th place. NRP then next in line with him, and there's a whole host of traffic as it looks as though NRP in the background. Let's jump into this one. NRP challenging Ubar at the moment, trading places and places, and it looks as though NRP gets acquainted with that runoff into the wall. No major damage to be seen from our view at the moment, but Ubar manages to get the better of him for now. Let's jump back into the battle for first place. So TomTom still managing to hold off Travis. Bruce Law still maintaining that small amount of distance between them. Plenty of spray still coming up, so the rain, although it's light, has still got this track wet, and we see a big wobble there from Travis. Manages to hold it, well done to him. So that Ferrari, currently with 2 McLarens, right up his chuff, hungry for that position. Travis definitely pushing hard. And you see a flash of the lights there from TomTom. Not sure what he's signifying there, potentially telling those drivers to back off, but it looks to all be clean so far. And Travis potentially with a runoff, as we see Bruce Law getting very sideways. I think he's he's managed to spin it, so Bruce Law's out of that battle now, and he's about to be jumped onto, and he already has been, by NRP and Traven. Uniclark, in fact, Bruce Law is rocketing down those positions. Let's just have a quick look on board with him. It looks as though he's got to sit and wait for the pack, waiting for that clear position. Demobi managing to avoid him there with some evasive manoeuvres, but we're back in the battle for first with TomTom and Travis. Travis now dropping back a little bit, potentially he's had a bit of a wobble as we've gone over on board with Bruce, but still around about 4 second gap from second place to third place of NRP. So it looks as though Ubar has either come into the pit or he's had a similar situation to Bruce Law where he's had to wait to get back on there. I do apologise that I've missed on that. We've had a whole lot of action going on at the very start of this one, but TomTom is really proving himself at the front of this grid in the wet conditions of Watkins Glen. Now made his gap up to over a second between second place Travis. If we have a look down into third place. NRP is still around about 4 to 5 seconds, so these guys are pulling away from that third place. Let's have a look at our current league pole sitter. So Yasko is currently in 8th. Looks as though Duftinho, after his pit stop, is not far away from the back of Ubar now. Let's have a look where Thorsten Smith is. Thorsten Smith currently sat in 5th, a couple of seconds away from 4th place Uniclark. See if I've got any action on track. It looks to all be pretty evenly spread on this one. The closest battle we've got is between Lightblade and Traven. So Lightblade putting the pressure on him in his Porsche. And these guys not too far away from the 5th and 4th place of Thorsten Smith and Uniclark either. So we'll keep an eye out on the battle for first as we watch this 6th and 7th shootout. They're a very consistent driver, and we can see there puddles forming on all sections of that banked corner. So avoiding those puddles is definitely hard in some parts of this track. We'll really test these guys, and we're on lap 5 now, so the rain was due to stop in the next couple of laps, but from the look of this track it isn't going to dry out very quickly. 78 degrees is the track temperature in Fahrenheit, so it's not going to dry out that quickly. Let's see, who was that? It looks as though that was TomTom that had actually run off the track. I can't remember seeing another Ferrari on the grid. So TomTom, he's been consistent for 5 laps. Looks as though the 6th lap has let him down slightly, and that's released Travis into first place with NRP now chasing him down pretty rapidly. He's knocking tenths off that gap every couple of seconds. So these guys still battling out. We're on board following with Lightblade, but Traven is right behind him. See those guys exchanging positions. Looks as though Lightblade's got the better of him here as Traven has a little look up the inside. Hasn't got the gap to make it count though this time around. Let's get back on board with our battle for first. NRP been raining down on Travis. Obviously managing to get that Z4 singing, and we can see there that gap getting shorter and shorter. Currently 2.5 seconds with Uniclark and Thorsten Smith not that far away behind them. Duftinho's managed to make it into 3rd position. That's doing well. We have had a retirement from the race, not sure who that was. Let's have a look down our running order and see if I can pick out who it was. It looks as though TomTom has retired back to the pits. So obviously that spin-off causing some damage that he just didn't think he could recover from. Oh no, I beg your pardon, TomTom is still out there. Who was it then that's out on side? I'll try and run down the driver list and figure out who that was and come back to you. But battling for first, it looks as though since I've mentioned it, Travis has put his foot down. He's managing to maintain that gap now to his second. Potentially just trying to play the consistent game. These guys not looking to make too much of a gap up and push themselves hard while the rain's still coming down here. They'll wait for that dry period, and then I'm sure as soon as it is dry we'll see most of this field coming in for dry tyres. It's just whether or not they take the gamble and it pays off as to whether or not the track's ready for it. You've got to love these wet races. It definitely adds an extra bit into the strategy in terms of how the race pans out. Sorry about that, ladies and gents. I've just had word. It was actually Bruce Law who actually got disconnected. That's who our mystery missing driver is, if I can get my M's out. So he's not had a good time really this evening, Bruce Law. Man from Chester, not managing to hook it together at Watkins Glen. He had a drive-through penalty in the sprint race and he's been disconnected from the second one. Hopefully the stream is working much better since we've reduced the resolution. Trying to cope with the demand for my broadband connection. Obviously plenty of people enjoying their Easter Sunday bank holiday weekend with a film inside the living room. So on board with the action at the moment. NRP's managing to knock a little bit more time away from the lead of Travis. Let's see whether or not he can build upon that and start to challenge for first place. Looking down the order, Jasko VR is currently sat in 9th place. Thorsten Smith, who's second in the championship, currently sat in 4th. So these guys have got plenty to do, but plenty of this race to go. We're currently on lap 8 of lap 25. So plenty more action here to come on the Rubbins Racing YouTube channel in this GT3 championship. By all means, if you're watching this, you're a PS4 user and you also enjoy sim racing on Project Cars 2, then head over to our website and you can join in the action on www.rubbinsracing.co.uk. You can get signed up in the upcoming Season 3 and join into some of this action. Back with the action though, NRP is still trying to make a dent in Travis' lead. Looking down the order, looks as though we've got a battle for 10th at the moment between Lionsfoot and Demobi. So the Porsche of Demobi raining down on that Ferrari. Let's see if he can make a move happen into the bus stop. Lionsfoot getting a whole lot of curb as we see that Ferrari stepping out on him. He's done well to maintain traction and also maintain speed there, keeping the distance pretty equal. And looking back up the order, looks as though Thorsten Smith is about to challenge Uniclark. I'll look how that one progresses, but we'll keep on board with a battle for 10th place at the moment. If you are just joining this stream and you're wondering why Duftinio's solo down, he went in for an early pit stop. Looks as though he's going to try and run out the entire race on wet tyres. I can't imagine he's on the dries as of yet. This track still looking pretty sodden, but you will notice that the rain has stopped here at Watkins Glen. Still overcast conditions, so it's not going to dry out quickly, as we can see the dovetail from all of the previous rain still splashing about. Any of the drivers racing inside their cockpit views will struggle to get a good view of the apexes and the competitors, that's for sure, as we see a couple of the guys coming in for the pit stops, Lightblade and Jasko VR. Let's just have a look at these guys. I just want to see whether or not they're coming in for tyres on this one. We will try and keep on board with any of the battle a bit further up, but no, it looks as though Jasko VR is just in there for his mandatory pit and potentially some damage repairs. Can't see any tyres being changed on that one, so we're back on with our trackside view of the race leader. Let's have a look. NRP in the background there with Uniclark and Thorsten Smith soon to be challenging them. Let's have a look on with Thorsten Smith in our chase cam. Get a good view of 3rd place and 2nd place. Listen to that roaring Lamborghini. Sounds fantastic from the rear of that car. And it looks as though Uniclark is having a few looks over the back of NRP. He didn't make it count that time, and he's actually lost a position now to Thorsten Smith. It's a little bit too keen, but NRP colliding with the wall. This could be Thorsten Smith's time to pounce. He's not going to have a chance to look at the inside due to that big puddle that we've just seen then across the shot. And another big puddle on the apex of the final corner. So these guys having to adapt the lines at the moment for these wet conditions. You may well have the opportunity if you see that Bentley rain down onto the Lamborghini. Insanely quick car when he gets the power down. It's just the weight and the stability that costs that Bentley. Let's see how the action unfolds as they drive up the hill. Thorsten Smith there with a pretty good line. He's managing to maintain some speed, and he's going to utilise the slipstream with both of these cars. Hopefully build up a smaller gap into the bus stop. Thankfully not too many puddles formed at the top of that. Bit of flat ground can often be quite dangerous in these wet conditions. And that is not a place that you want to lose it. Pretty hard to get back on track. All cars in view managing to get through it safely. So in the battle for the top, looks as though Travis is pulling away a little bit of a lead now to NRP, as NRP has had to defend from these two guys on screen. Let's run a little bit further down the order. The Moby's worked his way into 8th place now. Duftinho notably managing to get himself into 10th. This is due to the pit stops of Jasko VR and Lightblade. Lightblade's still in the pits. That must be some pretty substantial damage repairs that he's having to go through there. So I'm pretty sure he entered the pits when Jasko VR did. A huge pit stop from him. Travis has obviously gotten a little bit squiffy at some point during that last lap. You can see the gap now within half a second to NRP, and 3rd and 4th place almost able to challenge for that 1st place position. So the battle is definitely on as we see the Bentley and the Z4 of Uniclark and NRP get together. Only a little bit of door rubbing though, so both of them managing to get away cleanly as they drive up the hill. Advantage still to NRP in this one, and it looks as though Thorsten Smith's going to be able to benefit from it as well as he shortens the gap to 3rd place Uniclark. Looking down the sector times, our current fastest sectors and laps are coming from 8th and 9th place of Demoby and Lionsfoot. Uniclark also putting in pretty hot laps. To be honest, there's not much between them. Really, most of the lads set in 151s and looking pretty even in the sector split times. So it's all just about the battle now as we see these top 4 drivers about to approach a back marker. I'm assuming it's going to be Lightblade, but I could be wrong. Lightblade's been inside the pits for quite some time as we see NRP there getting all sorts of sideways. He's dropped back now to 4th position. And he's losing quite a bit of time on the drivers. Obviously cost him a lot of momentum in that one. He's made it back up into the corner though. It's deciding the time when to push, especially as parts of the track will start to dry out over the next few laps. We've got 14 laps remaining as we approach the end of lap 11 now. Plenty of puddles still remaining on the apexes of these as we see Travis dart into the pit. Pretty late manoeuvre from him. He must have already had it lined out, but it is just the lay of the lie. So he jumps into the pits, and we'll keep an eye out on where he comes out. I haven't seen any major comings together, so hopefully no major damage, and he can get himself back out of that pit lane as soon as possible and build upon the great start that he's had in this feature race. So current race leader is Uniclark. He is still to pit with Thorsten Smith and NRP. Both of these guys still to pit as well. In fact, I think everyone's still to pit from 8th place, I think. So your top 7 drivers, could be wrong, still yet to make their pit stops. Uniclark now is managing to stretch his legs and open up a bit of a gap to the 2nd place of Thorsten Smith. Let's keep an eye on Thorsten Smith. He is in front of a back marker, and that back marker looks to be Jasko VR, the red and black Lamborghini of him. If it's number 999, which I think it is, or it might be 666, I beg your pardon for the Diablo reference. Looks like Jasko VR's got a mountain to climb in this one. Not the ideal situation, but like I say, plenty of lads still to pit and plenty of laps remaining on this. It is, of course, Jasko VR's 666 car. So Jasko VR now a lap down to the current race leaders. Going to be an interesting finish to this race for sure. Make sure you stick along with us here. See Ubar entering the pit. Let's have a quick look at him, see whether or not... it looks as though we've missed to see whether or not he's come in for tyres. Didn't see how long his pit indicator was on for, but it didn't look to be on for long, so I think he's potentially staying out on the wets. I'd be surprised if any of these cars are on the dryers for now, but unfortunately there's no way for me to see here in the commentary box. So we're currently racing on board with our race leader Uniclark, who's opened up 1 1/4 second gap to second place Thorsten Smith, who in turn has opened up a 3-second gap to third place of its PT. These guys finding the consistency now. Tyre temperatures look good, which still indicates that they are on the wets. Let's see, though. Track temperature has risen by almost 20 degrees Fahrenheit now, so the rain will definitely start to dry off, and it looks as though the overcast conditions are likely to blow away, and we're likely to have some light cloud towards the end of this race. So that's going to raise those track conditions up even more, so anybody that is staying out on wets, those tyres are going to start to cook pretty quick. But we see Thorsten Smith making a clean pass on Uniclark for the lead. Snuck up from nowhere, really. Great move there from our driver from Berlin. Obviously, the commentary of Jasko VR, currently sat in 13th place, has spurred him along. Thorsten Smith, of course, second in our championship before tonight's events. I think he's still, after the slightly disappointing third place finish in the sprint race, he's still going to be within second place of the championship. So this could change everything by the end of this race if it finishes how it will. I mean, Jasko VR is going to come up through the pack, there's no doubt about that, as we see Thorsten Smith spinning it off. He's going to have to wait for a patch of clear land to get back into it. Let's keep an eye onto him. It looks as though our trackside cameraman, a bit slow to respond there, but he's managed to get himself back into fourth place. He's currently 7 seconds away from the lead, as we see second and third place, it's PT and NRP come into the pits. So Thorsten Smith's going to have to open up the gap and try and close down that 7-second gap from his spin-off to Uniclark, to try and benefit as much as he can to Jasko's current race position. So Tom also into the pits. I can imagine a lot of these guys are going to be coming in for fresh tyres, as we see. Yeah, the wet tyres are off for its PT. NRP also looks to have changed his for slicks, and Traven also enters the pits. I'm assuming that we'll see him do a tyre change too and come off those wets and go on to dries. So a big gamble for these guys, but you could see from the previous feature the spray's getting a lot less, as camera view confirms it there. Traven also coming in for wets. NRP looks to getting some damage repairs as well. I can't see him stopping for fuel, so a few little encounters with the barriers costing him there in terms of his pit release. But he'll still get out on track, and there are a couple more drivers yet to come in, and he is going to benefit from the dry or near dry conditions that this track's offering. 94 degrees Fahrenheit track temperature now, so that's going to help clear out any remaining puddles. This will be a good indicator as we come up through the final few corners. There is still a puddle there on the apex of the final corner, so not all puddles cleared, but light cloud in the skies now, and the track temperature rising quite quickly to try and assist these guys on the dry tyres. Thorsten Smith, he's currently 8 seconds away from our current provisional leader, Uniclark. If Uniclark can get a quick pit stop, it'll be unlikely because he's going to want to come in and change those wet tyres eventually. He might look at a podium within this one. Just working off the top of my head, with a 28-second gap to third place Lionsfoot, who's come into the pits, so that's going to be extended even more. We just need to keep an eye out on his tyre temperatures. That'll be the good indicator of when those wet tyres will go off, and when he's going to be forced into coming into the pit stop to change those tyres for dries. So let's have a little bit of a look down the order. It looks as though Demobi and Travis locked up in a battle. Travis breezing up the inside there, and a little bit of a nudge for good measure, it seems, on the German in the Porsche. Not much time lost though. He does look to have lost quite a bit of momentum there, Demobi. So Travis makes his way up into fourth place, and he's going to be trying to rain down on its PT. Bringing up our running order. Don't forget, in the championship standings, its PT is sat in third, so he's going to want to get as good of a finish as he can to maintain his battle with Thorsten Schmidt and to also fend off Duftinho. Duftinho, of course, currently sat in 12th position. An early pit stop from Duftinho, wasn't expecting it, definitely caught me off guard. As we see Lightblade entering in the pits again, that is likely to be for damage. Lightblade, uncharacteristically, having a bad race. He's usually Mr. Consistent, so we'll see what he can do when he exits the pit lane and try and make up as many positions as he can to make sure his championship standings aren't affected too badly. So we see our current race leaders into the pits, both of them appearing to change tyres. Yep, both of them changing, so they get a brand new set of slicks all round as its PT now takes the lead. So as I was saying earlier, its PT is currently 67 points away from Jasko VR in the championship before tonight's race meeting. So that is before the sprint race. He didn't have the best showing out, I don't think, in the sprint, but if he can maintain a great track position on this one and try and make up the points, with Jasko VR currently sat in 9th with a lot of work to do, albeit with quite a few laps to go, and 9 laps remaining in this race, that'll benefit his championship greatly, and that is going to make for a fantastic final sprint and feature next weekend for our final race of the season. We do love a championship that goes down to the wire, and it looks as though it may well deliver after Jasko VR's not had the best running in this feature. He dominated in the sprint, pouncing on Duftinho just when it counted, and Duftinho unable to get the position back. It's PT now nearly making up a 10-second gap to second place Travis. Thorsten Schmidt is sat around about 6 seconds behind him, with Uniclark soon to be battling. And let's have a look at that battle between Uniclark and Thorsten Schmidt. Bentley versus Lambo. You can see a few remaining puddles, but no spray to be seen on the regular driving line. It's just a couple of apexes that might well catch people out. Hopefully after 17 laps, and these lads will have found out where those heavily where apexes are and managed to avoid them. Looks to be the case there between Uniclark and Thorsten Schmidt as they avoid the final apex on the final corner. Duftinho back in the pits, looks as though he's going in for a tyre change, although I could be wrong. Can't see a set of wet tyres there on the side. May well have just joined that view a little bit late to the game, but Duftinho making his second pit stop of the day in the feature race. That's not going to help his finishing position. He's got a lot of work to do to make his way back up to 12th place now. Looks to be a 24-25 second gap between Duftinho and Traben in 12th place. So it's PT. That'll be music to his ears, because that might well find it's PT buffering his gap between 4th place in the championship standings, Duftinho, increasing that lead even further and potentially managing to jump over Thorsten Schmidt, depending on how this race pans out. So it's PT there, navigating a back marker. That looks to be TomTom in the Ferrari. Let's have a quick look. Yep, confirming that is TomTom. This is where it's going to be crucial for the championship contenders of Jasko VR and Thorsten Schmidt. There's a lot of back markers to work their way through. I mean, they've, as proven throughout this championship, very competent drivers, but there's plenty to do in terms of getting your car around a back marker in a safe position. Hopefully the lads will notice the blue flags and move aside in a safe manner for them. but anything can happen on track, that's for sure, especially when you've got puddles on apexes in certain positions. Let's have a look a little bit further down the running order. That gap between Thorsten Schmidt and Uniclark looks to have opened out. Not really showing it on this view, but this one will show it. So looks to be 100 metres or so distance between these two guys. Only a second in it. Let's have a little bit of a look down the rest of the running order. Looks as though the drivers now settled into the pace. 132 degrees Fahrenheit track conditions. So any remaining wet spots on the track are likely to dry out pretty soon. To put it into perspective, was around about 70 degrees at the beginning of this race, so almost doubling. Unfortunately, because I race in miles per hour, it is in imperial measurements, so you will have to bear with me. It looks as though Thorsten Schmidt, though, looks to be a little bit slow coming around that corner. Maybe it was my cameraman waiting to catch up, or he may well have had a bit of an incident there. Looks as though he's cracked his windscreen, so might have had a bit of a knock-in. But we'll move back down the running order. Looks as though NRP is soon to be challenging Ubar for 7th place, and Jasko Briard is right behind NRP. Let's go on board with this action between them. In fact, we'll jump into our chase cam on Jasko Briard as he challenges up the inside and gets away cleanly. I haven't even got time to get onto the chase cam with that. He made that move so quick. So Jasko Briard now moving his way up the grid. Now sat in 8th place. He's got quite a lot to do, but I mean, he's made up around about 30 seconds in next to no time. So he's really putting the hammer down. Game face on for our current championship leader. So if he can get within space of Thorsten Schmidt, even if he finishes behind Thorsten Schmidt, if it pans out the way that it currently stands, he is still going to be the championship leader after both of these sessions tonight. So it will be advantage to him. Of course, fastest lap's worth a bonus point for each of the sprint and feature races in this GT3 championship. And bear in mind that Jasko Briard got pole position in the sprint races qualification session, so that is another bonus point to himself. So all of these small bonus points will definitely play its role come next week and the final race of the season. So let's have a little bit of look down the running order, have a look for any further battles. Looks as though TomTom is currently being hassled by Traven. Traven looks as though he's perhaps breached the track limits, though, as we see that little warning sign next to his name. Down the rest of the running order, though, it looks as though there's pretty even gaps amongst most of the drivers. It's just Jasko Briard raining down on Ubar now. 3 seconds the difference between them, and it's going to get shorter and shorter. Now down to 2. So expect to see Jasko in your mirror if you're listening, Ubar. He's coming up very shortly. Get on board with chase cam so that we can get a good view of that gap diminishing. As I've been on my sector boards looking across this, its PT is currently into the 29 seconds, so he's sub 30 seconds in sector 1. The only other driver equaling that is Duftinho at the moment. But not much difference. Most of the lads set in a 30 seconds or so sector 1. Just trying to have a look at who's making these dry tyres work the best for them. As we see that gap now, less than a second between Jasko Briard and Ubar. Both these drivers inside the Lamborghini, and obviously the pace of Jasko Briard is just too much for Ubar to maintain. Can't see him making his move into the bus stop, but once we come out of that bus stop section, I'll expect to see a move from Jasko Briard on this one. Of course, it is for race position. This is not a blue flag, so Ubar will be defending that as much as he can to do it in a safe way. He obviously doesn't want to jeopardise his current race position. So following Yasko VR as he makes his moves all across left and right sides of Ubar, trying to unnerve him, trying to keep him guessing on when he's going to pounce. Ubar managing to do all he can, safe defending from him at the moment. Looks as though he's allowed him to move up the inside. Potentially there, Ubar thinking that he's losing too much time, trying to defend that position, and just wants to let the faster car past so that he can get on with his race and try and open the taps again, make sure that he isn't chased down by 9th place NRP. Currently around about 4 seconds between 9th place and 8th place Ubar, so we'll keep an eye on that as it progresses. Let's jump up to Thorsten Schmidt at the moment though. He's currently being challenged, I'm assuming by Lionsfoot. No, I did think Lionsfoot was in the Ferrari. Let me just check that. Yep, Lionsfoot is in the Ferrari, so it looks as though there's a back marker that's just been overtaken by Thorsten Schmidt with the Ferrari of Lionsfoot in the background. I wonder if that's Duftinho actually in the Lambo. Yep, it is indeed Duftinho. He's eager to get past Lionsfoot. He is under blue flag conditions though, so he is going to have to be careful to make that pass. I beg your pardon, trying to get past Thorsten Schmidt. Looks as though he's made his way up around the outside. Thorsten Schmidt obviously thinking that trying to defend that is worthless when he's got a lap position on it. So he's managing to maintain around about 1 second gap between Thorsten Schmidt and Lionsfoot at the moment. But that getting shorter and shorter as we progress. It's PT is our current race leader though, with Travis in 2nd place, Uniclark in 3rd, and then 4th place, who we're currently on board with and following around the track, which is Thorsten Schmidt. Thorsten Schmidt, of course, 2nd in the championship standings at the moment. 1st place in the championship standings is Yasko VR, who's made his way up into 7th place now, and soon to be raining down on Demobi. So around about 3 seconds gap or so between Yasko VR and Demobi. We'll keep an eye out on that difference and we'll jump over to that camera angle if it starts to get a little bit shorter. So Duftinho looks to be having a bit of a mare through this race. I did mention earlier on he has had to pit twice. Once very early on, I'm assuming it was for damage. 2nd time, I'm assuming it was for tyres. Couldn't get it confirmed when I switched over to the camera angle, but the track had begun to dry out. So expecting that then was the time for him to come in, get those tyres changed and try and make up the deficit that he suffered. Lightblade also into the pits twice, which is why you're seeing these guys so far down the standings. But that definitely isn't going to do Duftinho's championship any good at all going into the final race next week. So looking down on on Demobi and Yasko VR, that's now within 2 seconds. We'll jump on board with Yasko actually, and let's have a look at his chase so we can see him try and reduce the deficit to Demobi. We can see Demobi there in the foreground. So gap currently around about 2 seconds. Yasko VR though has pulled out an absolute blinder his last lap around. Look at the difference between that, pulling out a 143.7. Only other person matching that is Duftinho with a 143.4, so actually going quicker. So current 7th place and 13th place, currently the fastest. You can see Demobi there making an uncharacteristic mistake, allowing Yasko to enter 6th place. So next in line is Lionsfoot, and then it's Thorsten Schmidt, which is the crucial battle between these two. Let's have a look at Lionsfoot's challenge on Thorsten Schmidt. Looks as though he's going to make it around the outside. Manages to get a little bit sloppy though onto that 2nd apex of the bus stop, slowing down and allowing Thorsten Schmidt to regain their place safely. And they very nearly came together, these two guys. Let's jump back into trackside as we watch this battle unfold, but Lions Foot much improved as the weeks have gone on, currently challenging for 4th spot, and knowing the man himself, he'll be very happy with that. Definitely finding pace inside that Ferrari as the season's progressed. So after that spin from Demobier, that's landed him in 8th place. And it looks as though he may well have sustained a bit of damage because NRP's just leapfrogged him as well. He's pushed him down to 9th. We'll keep on board with this battle for 4th though at the moment. See Lions Foot and Thorsten. What is significant in all of that is Uber is now in 7th place. Uber currently bottom in the championship standings, so he'll be looking to save face as much as possible. Uber unable to make it in the last race, and it looks as though he didn't classify any results either in Imola, which was our 2nd race of the season, which is why you're seeing our Flying Dutchman so low in those championship standings. But a 7th place finish for him today will definitely boost him up a little bit and take him off that bottom spot, I'm sure. So TomTom now dropping down the order. Duftino managing to make headways with those fastest laps as we see Lions Foot again making that move around the outside. Let's see whether or not he can make it stick this time. He avoids that grass on the first apex, manages to get round it safely, but he did lose a bit of momentum in the second half of that bus stop. Looks as though he's made the move stick though. He maintains a gap between Thorsten Smith, so our man from Swansea currently making it happen in 4th place. Great showing from Lions Foot as we see a late entry into the pit from Evan. Lap 24 of 25, so I can only assume that he hasn't pitted yet. He's the last remaining guy and he's looking to be coming in for a quick one. Be interesting to see whether or not Duftino manages to get a place out of this pit stop from Evan. Hopefully trying to damage reduce as much as possible. Looks as though there was still a puddle on that turn. I think that's turn 15 maybe. So not all of these puddles dried out. It was on the apex as well, but most of the track now dry after our wet conditions at the start of the race. But ladies and gents, we are currently into our final lap, so we'll jump back on board with this. I'll try and keep you updated on the audio how that one's playing out between Lions Foot and Thorsten Smith. But it's PT. Looks like he's going to make this race victory. It's his first of the season in the GT3s. He has been within the podium a number of times, notably in the feature race last week at Circuit of the Americas, also managing to get a podium spot at Spa and Imola. But this will be his first win of the season. He's only got a few corners to secure that one, and it's going to pay dividends in terms of his battle for the 2nd and potentially championship leader spot between Thorsten Smith and Jasko VR. Thorsten Smith currently sat in 5th space, so 35 points for the winner. Let me have a look at the fastest lap times that we're putting out in the last lap. Let's see if he can also open out a fastest lap. Doesn't look as though he is. Looks as though he's going round for consistency, but as he exits the final corner, it is going to be the victory for Ritz PT. Count as we see a flash from the lights. He will be ecstatic with that. First victory of the season and a very well deserved one for him as well. So currently battling for 2nd place. It looks as though Uniclark's got the better of Travis in the final couple of corners. So Uniclark is 2nd place with Travis. Looks as though he might well have run out of fuel, which is unfortunate for him. That is going to make a massive difference, and look where he has run out of fuel. That is the last corner, ladies and gents. So only a few, maybe 100 meters or so to go before the start finish line. So it's Lions Foot with his first podium, I think, of the season. It is indeed. In fact, that's leaps and bounds away from where he's finished previously. Thorsten Smith manages to come across the line in 4th with Jasko VR in 5th. This is definitely going to be an interesting mix-up to the standings. Uber managing to get a good finish in 6th place. Well done to him. NRP shortly coming across the line just exiting the final corner now, and so a 7th place position for him. Next in line we've got Demobi. He looks as though he may well have sustained a bit of damage from his spin-off earlier in the race. He's currently sat in 9th in the championship, so it's not going to affect his position that greatly. Next in line we've got Traven in 9th place. And then I think a future race to forget for Duftinho. Sounds as though he's tickling it along as we run out of race time. So that is our standings, ladies and gents. We'll run down it. It's PT getting the victory with Uniclark in 2nd, Lionsfoot in 3rd position, Thorsten Smith in 4th, and Jasko VR in 5th. Ubar managing to get a great 6th place finish after a tough race for him. NRP finishing in 7th. 8th place goes to Demobi with Traven in 9th, Duftinho in 10th. Evan managing to finish in 11th, and TomTom and Lightblade make up the remaining drivers in the running order. So that is all from us this week, ladies and gents. Last week will be our final race in the GT3 Championship, and keep an eye out on our Instagram for those championship standings, which I will be posting later on, so you can see how we're set up for that final race of the season. I can guarantee you it's going down to the wire. That's all from me in the GT3s. Join us again for the touring cars on Tuesday, same time at 8 o'clock UK time. Thank you very much for persevering with us through our technical difficulties in the sprint race. We do apologise about that. We may just have to run a slower resolution in our next stream event. But from me, Murphy, thank you very much for joining us. Stay safe, and we'll see you again next time.